Paul, you gonna give us a sign whenever it's time to roll?
I'm on your time, sir.
How about,
I've got 1 more minute.
I got 55 seconds. But once I get to 31, I feel like I can round up.
Say we can't start early.
Meeting of the Building Commission to order, and Mr. Marshall, if you could call the roll.
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Governor,
Here.
Speaker Sexton, Secretary Hargett,
Here.
Treasurer Lillard. Here. Commissioner Bryson,
Here.
Governor. There is a quorum.
Thank you. And we'll start with the first item on the agenda, the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
That's a proper motion, properly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. You adopt. And the second item.
We want to point out that there were no requests for public comment.
Oh, thank you.
The next item is from the Department of Children's Services, and Commissioner Margie Quinn will present.
Commissioner Quinn, good to have you with us.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Lieutenant Governor, members of the
morning.
commission. We have one item for your consideration and approval today. The new Woodland Hills and John S. Wilder hardware and staff secure facilities project will give the Department of Children's Services 3 new prototypical residential youth development centers. The design consists of residential, educational, food service, recreational, clinical visitation, and both maintenance and administration spaces. The Woodland Hills facility located in Nashville will accommodate 80 beds with the infrastructure to expand the facility to 96 beds. The 2 John S. Wilder facilities located near Somerville will have one facility that accommodates 80 beds with the ability to expand the facility to 96, and the other accommodating 48 beds with the ability to expand the facility to 64. The original estimated construction start date for this project has been delayed to accommodate and incorporate the dynamic shift and how we will be able to operate our youth development centers. The current design meets our desired path for providing 3 facilities that can easily expand to handle future needs, but also the flexibility to adjust controls of the ground to accommodate either hardware or staff secure populations as times and needs may change. The project has completed multiple value engineering exercises where both our engineer, A2H Inc., and our construction management partners, Linkus Construction and Reeves Young Construction, have brought us to a functional design and is within the total project budget. Thus, we ask for your approval of a revision in project budget funding and the early design phase.
Second.
That's a proper motion, properly seconded. Questions? See none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. You adopt.
I'd like to introduce you to Felipe Velasquez from A2H to walk you through the design presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner Quinn. Good morning, everybody. This project is built around a prototypical design approach applied consistently at both Woodland Hills and John S. Wilder. What you're seeing is a repeatable operational model, not just a site-specific layout. Housing pods, support spaces, intake, and program areas are organized in a consistent framework that allows the state to deliver facilities with predictable performance, staffing alignment, and cost control. At the core of the model, we have our housing pods designed for direct supervision, with staff located inside the unit in clear, unobstructed lines of sight. Each campus adapts that prototype to its site while maintaining the same operational logic, circulation clarity, and zoning strategy. This approach supports scalability, future expansion, and operation familiarity, and aligns with the state's goals of ensuring that youth are cared for in an appropriate environment. The John S. Wilder facility is located near Somerville, Tennessee, and will be constructed adjacent to the existing campus. The operational intent is to have the larger building to function as staff secure facility and the smaller building as hardware secure. The Woodland Hills facility, on the other hand, is located in Nashville, Tennessee, and will be constructed on top of the existing facility. The Woodland Hills facility is planned as staff secure. However, all three buildings are designed with the flexibility to operate as either staff secure or hardware secure, providing adaptability for future needs. As with all prototypical layouts, circulation is critical. Corridors are standardized at 8-foot clear to reduce staff risk exposure and improve movement efficiency. The facility supports a 1-to-3 staff to youth ratio during the day for learning and recreation, and 1-to-8 ratio at night when the youth are secured in their rooms. That staff transition is supported through centralized observation points, efficient circulation paths, technology as a support tool, not as a replacement for staff. From the exterior, the building reinforces these same principles. The architecture is organized to support passive supervision first, with clear massing and controlled access. This creates a secure environment that is also human-scaled, supporting staff presence and reinforcing a rehabilitative setting. At the core of each facility are the housing pods, designed around the direct supervision model. Each pod is approximately 8,500 square feet, intentionally sized to balance supervision efficiency and capital cost. Large enough to operate effectively, but not so large that it feels institutional. The courtyards extend that environment outward. Occupiable courtyards support programming and recreation while maintaining visibility and control without increasing staff demands. The layout provides 360-degree visibility, eliminating blind spots and enabling immediate response, which supports behavioral de-escalation and reduces incidents. The building pod layouts ensured safe and efficient operations aligned with ACA standards and supporting appropriate care for our youth. Our non-occupiable courtyards, on the other hand, allow for light transmission while reinforcing operational safety and maintaining efficiency. Inside, the design continues with the same priorities. Day rooms that provide 360-degree visibility, eliminating blind spots, and supporting an environment where the youth are safely and appropriately cared for. Wayfinding is intuitive, improving operational flow. Classrooms and program spaces support structure activity while maintaining supervision. From a long-term perspective, the design supports future expansion. Wilder staff secure, 80 to 96 youth. Wilder hardware secure, 48 to 64 youth. And Woodland Hills, 80 to 96 youth. Our core support spaces, such as kitchen and dining, are sized for the full build-out capacity. Our bid target is $310 million with MACC of $325,500,000. This project allows the state to safely manage youth populations with appropriate staffing ratios while maintaining visibility, flexibility, and long-term cost control, and ensuring that our youth are cared for in an appropriate environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? The doors on the facilities that are locked, is that electronic locks?
Yes, sir.
And I know we had a lot of problems with the electronic doors up at Morgan County. The inmates were able to use paper to somehow get through the lock. If you, in purchasing those doors, if you would check with Morgan County to make sure we don't purchase the same type door.
Absolutely. We'll make sure.
Thank you. Other questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
I move approval. Motion.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. You adopt.
Next item is for the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, and Director Jason Maxedon will present.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission.
Good morning.
Today, we're here seeking retroactive approval to use Griggs and Maloney for design services on the Lillard's Mill Catch Basin project. This project builds a small intake and catch basin on the Duck River to supply water to the mussel grow-out facility at Lillard's Mill located in Marshall County. This intake is essential. Without it, the grow-out facility cannot operate. The vendor was engaged early before we realized SBC approval was required. There was initial uncertainty about whether the intake qualified as a structure or not. Once identified, TWA worked with Stream to correct the oversight and establish the proper design agreement. I appreciate Stream's professionalism. They've worked hard with us, and we're still playing catch up on some of these different things, but I think we're right in line with them now. The Duck River provides the high-quality, nutrient-rich water needed for successful mussel growth. Currently, we're operating in a facility called CRAC. It's Cumberland River Aquatic Center, but it cannot support the grow-out phase due to the space and the water quality limitations. The new Lillard's Mill facility expands our statewide mussel recovery program and directly supports state and federally listed species. This catch basin is what allows us to scale production and improve survival of propagated mussels for restoration efforts. The total project budget is $820,000. This is a Stream estimate. I do want to talk a little bit about the funding breakdown for that. The first $210,000 is fully reimbursable. This is federal funds that we receive. The remaining $610,000 is reimbursed at 65%. So the state match requirement's about $210,000, and this would come from our operating budget from our wildlife fund. We may receive additional offsets through the Tennessee Aquatic Resources Fund. Those amounts are still being finalized. We don't know what those would be at this time, but they would be applied to that. The facility is highly automated, so it requires only one part-time employee for 3 to 4 week system checks. And this could be covered by our existing staff at CRAC and covered by the existing budget there at the CRAC Center. So annual utilities are approximately $6,000, keeping the long-term operating costs low, and no additional staffing or major recurring costs or expenses would be incurred there. At this time, we'd just like to seek approval for that. That concludes that one.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second. Questions? Discussion? I see none. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. You adopt. Thank
Okay.
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I've got one more if you want to go to that one next.
Okay.
Okay, the second one we're seeking approval for is the Region 2 New Stones River Range Walls Project. We're also requesting authorization to select a designer. The project is at the Stones River Hunter Education Center on Hobson Pike. This is located in Rutherford County. This is a high-use public shooting range serving about 8,000 visitors each year. The property is owned by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and TWA has operated here under a federal license for more than 60 years. Stream recently approved renewal of the lease, and the Corps supports this project. There's no property issues or constraints affecting moving forward with this. And what this does is add additional shooting lanes to expand public access and reduce wait times. And also, the main thing is replacing aging earthen side berms. Basically, these are dirt berms with engineered concrete walls. What this does is improve safety, and it's lower maintenance issues associated with that. The backstop berms will receive lead remediation replacement. This is standard for a range of this age. It's pretty typical. The main range structure opened in 2003 and remains in good condition. Only lanes and berm systems need work. I'll go over the funding and cost structure. The total project cost is $2.5 million. TWA qualifies for 90% federal reimbursement because the project expands range capacity. This is the only way that we can expend this money. These monies are designated through our Pittman and Robertson funds. So TWA shares $250,000 from our operating costs or our wildlife fund. Federal funding is dedicated solely to these public shooting range improvements. The federal match is secure through that existing Pittman Robertson money. It will be operated with current staff and current volunteers, so no additional manpower will be needed for that. The FY26 operating budget there was about $300,000. We are taking in revenue, which helps offset that cost. We're taking in about $100,000 worth of revenue there for that particular facility. And that concludes that, and we would look for a favorable.
We have, that's a proper motion. I'll second. Discussion. Objection to the question? See none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. You adopt.
Thank you, members.
Thank you.
Our next item is for the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, and Chief of Staff and Deputy Commissioner for Administrative and Regulatory Services, Heather Gunderson, will present.
Good morning.
Commissioner Williams sent her regrets that she couldn't be today to present this. We have one item for your consideration and approval today. The Western Mental Health Institute's Phase 2 project expands our operations by 62,000 square feet and brings remote functions of the campus under one roof. These functions include a full production kitchen, patient activity gymnasium, information technology spaces, maintenance and supply areas, administrative offices, training and conference rooms, and other medical-related support functions. The initial construction start window for this project has been pushed out to address extensive programming changes, as the original 2010 Phase 1 project no longer matched the current operational functions of the facility. The project has completed 2 value engineering exercises where both our designer, Allen and Hoschel, and our construction management partner, Turner Construction, who are both here today, have brought us to a functional design that meets operational needs and is within the total project budget. Thus, we ask for your approval of a revision in funding in the early design phase.
Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Discussion? Objection to the question? See none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. You adopt. Thank you.
Thank you. I introduced to you Michael LaBelle from Allen and Hoschel to walk you through the presentation.
Hello. So this is the Phase 2 expansion for the Western Mental Health Institute. Just to familiar side with the site, this is an old site originating back to the 1880s. So there's a lot of older style buildings on site that are vacant. Some are used, some are not. But to familiarize, on the north side, you got the existing entrance. What you see in the center is the existing Phase 1 facility that was constructed in 2010. And then to the west of that is the new expansion site. And a few other areas around. We've got Hardeman Building, which is an old vacant building adjacent to the site. Also the old admin building, which is front and center on the approach. One key note is the Phase 1 is currently operating out of a temporary kitchen due to the previous building seemed structurally unfit and unsound. So they're currently operating out of that at the moment. Just a site plan kind of legend, and just to go over kind of the main details and the goals of the project that were kind of previously mentioned. We are adding 25 inpatient beds for the second floor, but mainly the approach was to go back and add a lot of the Phase 1 services that didn't quite meet the budget requirements. So you'll see a lot of the square footage is dedicated to support services to operate the facility properly. So to run through on the right green, that's the existing Phase 1 facility. The light blue dot kind of indicates 2-story connector, making the hard connection to the new facility. Central on that cruciform plan is kind of where the main building sits. South of there, you've got a few functions that we're adding. We're adding another dock that you see there in the orange, just to emphasize bringing in warehouse materials for storage and to repair the facility. Grounds is kind of what you see in that salmon color. That's where all the externally located grounds facility be located there for lawnmowers, groundskeeping, things of that nature, small repair maintenance facility for their on-site utilities and whatnot. And to the left of the facility in green, there is existing Hardeman Hall, which is we're currently evaluating that to take it down since it's vacant. To go into a little more detail on the floor plan. Again, first floor is really dedicated to support services. So in the green on the top end, you see there are all administration offices and training used to support the objective for what they're training for on site. In the kind of darker blue on the left side is what they call environmental care, and it's going to be all support offices, plant maintenance for making repairs throughout the facility. They've got a good sized warehouse just to store material for keeping up with the facility itself, which also includes procurement. To the south of there, you'll see the grounds facility in that kind of darker orange color. That's just a multiple bay building to house lawnmowers, make small engine repairs to their facilities, house their tractors for cutting grass, really just to maintain the ground since they have so many acres to kind of oversee. Go back one more. On the right-hand side, you've got the lab in light blue, and then you've got the Ogjet 30, which is the gym support, which you see the rendering to the right. And then the biggest thing is the dietary kitchen. Since they're operating out of that temp kitchen, this will bring them on board to kitchen size for both Phase 1 and Phase 2. Now, on the second floor, we do have a second floor kind of operating the adding 25 inpatient units. And then there's a small kind of fiscal services renovation that they're relocating back into the Phase 1 area. Just a rendering kind of that front entrance. This building really doesn't have an official front. The main entrance will still be with the Phase 1 facility. So really just trying to take the building and match the existing materials, have it blend in. It's a combination of brick, metal panel, cast stone, really just trying to make a unified facility with durable materials that are easy to take care of. The massing is pretty simple, just try to keep an institutional feel for the facility and tie it all together. Just a few axons to kind of help orient yourself. On the left-hand side is the existing facility. Our structure is only 2-story versus the existing is 3. The massing is quite equal there. Parking is being added to the front for staff there for easy access and entry. You can see the existing Hardeman Hall building on the right-hand side, so it's being squeezed in kind of between those 2 facilities. Then you can kind of see the little connector there connecting the 2 facilities, which kind of facilitates a nice courtyard, which will be used for not only a kind of patient egress for safety, but also for staff as a courtyard. Just flipping on the back side, you can kind of see the support services there. On the left side, you got grounds and maintenance. So it'll be a fenced-in secured area for maintaining their equipment. We are adding a dock, which will be shared by the kitchen staff and then the EOC warehouse. And then you've got a kind of a mechanical electrical yard on the south end of the building to tie in where the utilities are coming in. And then further down on the south, it's just kind of an area for new generators to be located along with dumpster. Total program MAC, we're sitting at $49,610,000. Estimate that we put together with adjunct with Turner, we're at sitting at $44,529,876, and then hoping the bid target comes in around $45,100,000. We should be wrapping up with the design around September, following shortly thereafter with the groundbreaking, and then December start of construction with a 2-year completion for 2028.
Any questions?
I got a quick one if I can.
Yes,
Governor.
Mr.
What was
Secretary.
your name again?
Michael LaBelle,
And who do you work with?
Allen and Hoschel.
Okay. I got a couple of questions I'll catch up with you about later on in the presentation.
Further questions? See none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next 2 items are for the Tennessee Board of Regents, and Executive Director Dick Tracy will present.
Good morning, Lieutenant Governor, members.
Good morning.
Our first item is for the approval of the master plan as presented by the Sizemore Group for the master plan at Columbia State Community College. Mr. Chairman, please recognize Vice President Tammy Bourne and Mr. Lily Berrios from the Sizemore Group to present the project.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
Lieutenant Governor and members of the commission. It's a pleasure and honor on behalf of Sizemore Group to present to you the master plan for Columbia State Community College. I'd like to start by setting the stage, if we go on to the next slide, of the context of this particular campus, which is actually celebrating its 60th. It is the oldest in the system. If you will, it's been serving South Central Tennessee, initially out of Columbia, and today it, in addition, serves and has locations in Williamson, Lawrence, Lewisburg, and Clifton. During the process of this master plan, a couple of transitions in properties happened. The first one is that the Clifton property has been transitioned to TCAP Crump. And the second is that the acquisition of the Lawrence property has been approved already by, I understand, ESC. So that sets the stage, right, perfect. And then, so the mission and the vision is what grounds us. The programs that are forthcoming and emerging in terms of workforce and traditional. The second part, and it is important, is to continue improving the quality of the student experience from the moment they get into the campus to the moment that we progress them to completion. So focusing on those kinds of spaces. And the third important thing here is the 22% enrollment growth that is being projected in support of demographics and the programs anticipated. So our job has been to align the buildings, the properties, and come back to you with what that might represent in projects and in capital. Having said that, and taking the 22% growth, that means that we go from a total full-time equivalent of about 2,800 FTE to closer to 4,000. The important thing about this is the distribution by campus, with both Williamson and Clifton being quite equal at this point in that distribution, then followed by the projections for Lawrence and for Lewisburg. That then sets the stage also for how much space we will be needing, which compared to the existing, which for each one of those comparative columns, the existing is darker, the proposed new is lighter. But overall, there is a need for additional space, the largest of which are indeed coming on the two major campuses, Williamson and in Columbia. The other important thing about this is to understand that from a space type point of view, that need will come first in more lab, which are specialized spaces. Number 2 in offices, and number 3 in the study spaces, both formal and informal, that these students need to progress and complete what they're, the programs that they are there for. The other thing is the conditional facilities, particularly the campus, the Columbia campus that has the oldest facilities. It has a number of buildings, almost a dozen, that date back to 1966 to 1970, early 70s. Those are more than 60 years in age. Their condition requires more investment in them. The other point about these facilities is that many of them at the time were configured with certain dimensions and proportions and heights that may not be the most suitable for upcoming programs, particularly in science and technology. And we see that particularly at the Columbia campus more than any other of the properties. That sets then the stage for the capital priorities, the most important of which at Columbia is the upcoming replacement of the wharf building. And it is envisioned in a two-step, almost three-step process. Step number 1 is what we call the 1A there on the screen, and it will be to build a science building in order to move out of wharf and put those programs there, and then take that footprint and put in that, the 1B, which will be a building dedicated to business and technology. So that's the top priority, number 1, all combined in one project. Second priority coming out of this campus is going to be a new admissions and enrollment building. The objective here is to put that number 2 that you see there closer to the front and to reconfigure that entire front entrance and the view from Hampshire so that that sort of first impression is clear and engaging when the students come on board. That's it for Columbia. We've got Williamson, which is on the other end, the quote youngest campus, if you will. The top priority there will be a new student study support services building. The campus was built originally with not a lot of infrastructure to provide the support, the student support that they need currently for that enrollment growth that they have experienced. It's a great success story, but they do need that coming up as the next priority, and that will be then followed by academic. Finally, the combination of Lewisburg, which needs a small addition and longer-term monitoring for the possibility of any property acquisition. And then, as I said, in terms of Lawrence, that acquisition is has been already recommended to ESC. It is envisioned as a campus that will have a combination of academic and technology-oriented programs. And then the capital priorities are summed up right there. The $71.1 million, which is the wharf replacement, and it is in the 2026 capital budget request. Number 2 is the Columbia building, the enrollment and admissions, and that will be self-funded by them. And then ultimately, the next one in line will be the Williamson Services building. And with that,
Move approval.
It's a proper motion, properly seconded. Discussion? Objection to question? I see none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. You adopt.
Thank you. Our final item is for the approval of the master plan as presented by Doberlitsky Matthey for the master plan at Pellissippi State Community College. Mr. Chairman, please recognize President Anthony Wise and Mr. Art Litsky from Doberlitsky Matthey to present the project.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Pellissippi. It is an educational gym in East Tennessee. Started in 1974, the day my daughter was born. They started with 45 students and 12 faculty. They now have about 9,000 students and about 500 faculty and staff. 4 campuses in the 2 different counties that they serve, Blount County and Knox County. They're growing counties. The enrollment for the college is going to mirror that enrollment. It's going to mirror the growth of those counties. You can change it. And you can see how the different campuses, the 4 different campuses are growing. Since COVID in 2020, it's been an upscale growth, and it's going to continue to grow as we go along. These are the priorities that the college has put forth for the different campuses. In their main campus, the Hardin Valley campus, it is mostly student-focused recreation and athletics, and on a student resource hub of one type for events and special needs. In the Strawberry Plains campus, it's a welding resource. Welding is, metal manufacturing, metal fabrication is a big industry in those 2 counties, and they're supplying that skill for those industries. In Magnolia, audio production engineering, Music City, you can't not have audio production resource without having those skills. And then in Blount County, a new aviation academy, and I'll talk about that in a moment, because it's tied to the new PSA's airlines movement into the Knoxville area for maintenance resource. I'm sorry, next slide. Some of the buildings. So on the left-hand side is the existing campus, and on the right-hand side shows the major changes that are going on. There are parking and circulation changes, but in the southern sort of eastern side of the campus, new athletic, recreation, soccer, baseball, and softball fields. And north, the student hub, new building for student resources. Next one. This is the Magnolia campus. Go back one. Audio production engineering used to be called sound production. Almost all events that involve with sound have to have some engineering, some audio engineering involved with it, and that resource is a growing resource at that college. Strawberry Plains, the welding, as I mentioned earlier, their program is constrained by the building and it needs to expand, and we're showing a small addition for that. The Department of General Services has space in that building, and as they move out, the college is going to move into some of that vacated space. And next building. So PSA Airlines is moving into the Knoxville area. And I guess the best way to describe it is that the aviation industry in that whole area is a major industry and growing. With PSA moving in, it is a feeder for other industries and so on. The college has an aviation academy today in leased building off campus, and they want to bring it onto the main campus. And what we're showing here is a location for that new facility on their campus. And then the project costs involved. The Aviation Academy is on the next page, I guess. Can you? Yep. And that's the final cost for each of these projects. So that's the campus, the capital cost for the buildings, and then the cost for all the landscaping and other improvements that are involved in those projects. And that is it. Thank you.
Did you have a slide for the cost for Pellissippi and for?
Yeah, go back one.
Okay.
Garden Valley
I
one.
missed that
Yeah.
one. There it is. Okay, questions? See none. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. You adopt.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'd like to request approval of the minutes of the State Building Commission held on March 12th, 2026.
Proper motion, any additions or corrections? Hear none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. You adopt.
Next item is make a report of the items approved by the Office of the State Architect in accordance with SBC laws, policy, and procedures, including 8 change orders, 1 sole source, 4 capital projects with total project cost of between $100,000 and $1 million, 2 alternative delivery methods, 2 construction manager general contractor awards, and 1 consultant contract amendment. Also, a report of 2 designer additional services submitted by Stream, the quarterly report of the advisory board for the Metro Nashville District Energy System, and the annual report of the Hermitage Home of President Andrew Jackson.
Is there a motion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Those are approved. And last item is
We have no further business for the commission, sir.
proper motion, properly second. All in favor say aye. We're adjourned. All right.
Excellent work, Governor. Well done.
Thank
Well
you,
done, sir.
thank you,
Good to
thank
see you.